Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to yet another video here on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the obvious news of the month, arguably the biggest news of the entire year. Nobody's really talking about anything else as of now. I suppose like a lot of the updates that we're getting with the war in Ukraine and the Ukrainian forces pushing back against the Russians more fiercely than ever. That will be a separate video. That's pretty much like the only news that we have that is, well, considered major this month. But the big news right now that everyone is talking about is that Queen Elizabeth II of the UK has just passed away, and Prince Charles, who is now referred to as King Charles III, will be taking over for her place. All I'm really going to be talking about is my thoughts about the situation, as well as even some of the disrespectful, and I say outrageous reactions to the Queen's death. My own thoughts on monarchy as an American aside, I am very much aware that there are people who are mourning her death. I am very much aware that England is currently undergoing a period of mourning. She is, in fact, the longest reigning monarch in the UK's history, as well as I believe also the second longest reigning monarch in human history, if I remember correctly. I think she's about a couple years shy of Louis XIV. A shame that she didn't manage to, break Louis XIV's record as the longest reigning monarch in human history. In all honesty, I really was looking forward to seeing that. Unfortunately now, that's never gonna happen. But this video is mostly just gonna be my thoughts about the Queen, in addition to reacting to some of the disrespect and the disrespectful reaction towards the Queen's death. We will be talking about that as well. I will be calling some of these people out. So anyway, here are my thoughts on Queen Elizabeth and her unfortunate passing and the royal family in general. Now, first and foremost, me as an American, I never really pay attention to the royal family. I was never one of the types of Americans who, followed the royal family just as much as if somebody would, follow the Kardashians, who, by the way, fun fact, are regarded as, quote, the American royal family, ironically referred to as the American monarchy. I don't even pay attention to them either. Never will. But here are my own personal thoughts about Queen Elizabeth. Even though I never really followed the royal family in general, Queen Elizabeth was somebody that really didn't get involved in politics a lot, and she was not really that, divisive, as far as I know. She was technically one of those more structured monarchs in the world. Basically those types of monarchs. Really, when you think about it, there are actually two types of monarchs that you see in the world, generally speaking. You know what I mean? So for instance, the first types of monarchs are, generally speaking, by and large, just, figureheads. Sort of like one of those hands-off types of figureheads that really just don't care about being lavish. They do their state functions, their own traditional roles, and other than that, they also seem to enjoy a quiet and peaceful life. Pretty much most European monarchs nowadays are like this. This really isn't exclusive to people like Queen Elizabeth. I say the Belgian royal family, as well as even the Dutch royal family and the Danish royal family are similar to this. It's pretty much most of the European royal families that exist. Once in a while they would go out and give a speech, go to a fundraiser and donate to charity, and they've got family and things like that. They're sort of out of the line, whenever possible, because really for the most part they just see themselves as big name figureheads and nothing more. So that's just one of the kinds of monarchies that you see in the world. The other types of monarchies that you see in the world, the second type, and this tends to be especially true within some of the countries that are found in the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and the UAE. Those types of countries. Those are the types of monarchs that like to flex all of their money, all of their power and wealth. Those people, they like to go out with their own nice looking robes, very, very well dressed. I really do admire Arabian men's fashion. I think they look pretty cool. And they just go out and they like to show off their newest Lamborghini. They like to show off their new Bugatti, their diamond-encrusted Ferrari, or their penthouse suite made of gold right on the top of Burj Khalifa. To my knowledge, those are the only types of monarch that I've seen throughout the world. Queen Elizabeth, obviously, really wasn't given over to that. Although I can, technically speaking, make an argument that she is, technically speaking, a combination of the two types. I mean, she mostly just sees herself as just a figurehead. She is the type that makes speeches once in a while, does fundraisers and gives to charity, does her usual heads of state duty. But on the other hand, she also seems to enjoy, flexing her very stylish hats. Like, every picture of the Queen that I have seen is always her wearing multicolored hats. I don't know what her obsession is with those hats. I would assume it gives her, personality, which I don't mind. Although she does love her hats that she wears on a daily basis, the Queen is definitely the type of individual who wants to enjoy sort of like a quiet life. She does speeches every now and again. She goes to fundraisers. She goes to charities. She's, for the most part, been apolitical. And you still see a lot of people going out of their way to celebrate her death and be outright disrespectful towards her because it's like, oh, but it's edgy, and it's just dumb and in a way completely disrespectful. You're seeing people post memes about her death, which is kind of expected. I mean, any major global event that is going to go down in the course of human history happens. In this day and age, in the age of smartphones and the internet, people are going to make TikToks and memes about whatever major global event is going on. In this day and age, it's just inevitable. Like, if 9/11 were to happen today, there will be a ton of TikToks and memes made about it. If the Cold War is still going on to this day and is able to last during the internet age, I'm pretty sure there would be a ton of memes and TikToks about it as well. That's just how the internet works. Seriously, if the Cold War was still ongoing to this day in the smartphone and internet era and the Soviet Union still existed, could you imagine all the memes that would be made during this time in the Cold War? I think it'd be crazy, ridiculous, and at times, even hilarious. Aside from the memes that are being made about the Queen's death, you also have a lot of leftoids who are even celebrating her death. With the exception of Irish Twitter, I mean, the Irish, I could technically understand why they would be celebrating. I mean, historically speaking, the British and the Irish are not the best of friends. They went through a lot while they were under British rule. But that's just besides the point. I understand Ireland's history with Britain, but there are people out there who still want to celebrate the fact that the Queen just died. They still want to celebrate her death. Like, here's this clip from Hassan Piker's stream where he got the news of Queen Elizabeth's death and he's just, smiling, he's celebrating. He said, "Let's go, smoking on the pack. Let's go and dance on her grave." Like, he's just being outright disrespectful and stupid. Here's the clip.
Oh my god! She did die!
No, she didn't!
The royal family's official Twitter account said the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and Queen concert will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. Woo! Let's go! Get fucked, Queen! Jesus pack watch! Christ. Woo! Smoking on the Queen pack. Here, have some. Have some.
So you can see the reaction Hassan Piker had. He even said that he wanted to, dance on her grave someday. He also said on his stream, while the people were mourning the Queen's death, while he was watching live streams of, politicians and other people who are sad that the Queen passed away, who are mourning her death, he goes up and he calls these people and says that they're just nothing but a bunch of bitches.
It's been part of my life forever.
Oh my god, he's crying! What a bitch!
And, you hope that...
Now, obviously, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There were multiple, and I mean multiple, a ton of leftoids who are doing nothing but celebrating. I've seen videos of people who are just dancing. There are people who are singing Kool and the Gang's "Celebrate Good Times, Come On." Wavy Web Surf, who is a pretty big YouTuber, he's one of those types of guys similar to what the gamer from Mars is, or he talks about the history of old viral videos and memes from 5 or 10 years ago. He tweeted out saying, "MFs had memes planned out for the Queen's death." There's even this other meme that I saw while scrolling through TikTok where it shows, like, it had this caption that I believe it said something along the lines of, America's reaction when the Queen of England dies. I don't know if that was the exact caption, but in that TikTok video, it showed like a bunch of people in like a concert and they're like headbanging to an ear-raped version of the NFL on CBS theme song. Like, the reactions that I've been seeing to the Queen's death is bizarre. So much so that Rip Bozo started trending on Twitter. And it's just nothing but hateful shit that is geared towards the Queen. That's really all it is. It's not even just the Irish, or to some degree the Scottish, who are celebrating this. It's mostly coming from the people like Hassan Piker or the John Oliver types. Those people, mostly. Sure, every now and again I would see a bunch of, Irish people doing a little bit of a jig, river dancing. I even see a bunch of people from Scotland shooting fireworks and playing Scotland the Brave on max volume throughout the neighborhoods at night. Oh, and I'm not stopping there. It gets even better, or rather, worse. On exactly the same day the Queen dies, Trisha Paytas then says on Twitter that she is going on labor. And a lot of people, for some stupid reason, started to make jokes that the Queen, when she dies, is going to reincarnate as Trisha Paytas' baby. There were literally so many people making joke tweets about Queen Elizabeth reincarnating into whoever Trisha Paytas' baby is going to be. And yes, as expected, Trisha Paytas started to trend worldwide on Twitter. So this reaction to the Queen's death became so insane on Twitter, from people who are disrespecting the Queen and celebrating her death and being happy that she's gone, to others who are just making cringe memes about it. Like, I fucking hate Trisha Paytas, and I think it's just absolutely stupid to make jokes about the Queen reincarnating as her baby. Like, all these edgy memes, all these jokes, all of these celebrations about her death, all over Twitter, got so hog wild. Gideon then tweets out this: if I was the royal family, I'd just delete Twitter. Crying emoji. So after seeing all the reactions towards Queen Elizabeth's death, all the disrespect that I've seen towards the Queen after she dies, it just essentially shows that there's a lack of general, respect for certain leaders. Now, I don't mean that in a way, there are obviously certain leaders that still should be disrespected and denounced in history. There are certain monarchs that deserve to be disrespected. Why don't you take a look at the shit King Leopold II did while he was King of Belgium? And Leopold II is not the only example. We've heard lurid stories throughout history of people calling for monarchs to have their heads axed off because of how evil and atrocious they were throughout their reign. So I'm not denying that. There are monarchs and leaders that should be disrespected. But you just see. What I'm trying to say here is that you see the fact that there's this instant need to, be edgy and make all these stupid memes, like this one here, which is literally a picture of the Queen and XXXTentacion cut in half in one picture. Or make jokes about how the Queen is going to reincarnate into the child that Trisha Paytas is about to have. Or they will just celebrate the fact that she's dead and they will be happy by just going out there and they'll say, well, she deserves to die. Hooray, the Queen is dead. We're so glad she's dead. Rip Bozo. She's in hell. She's evil because the crown did this and the crown did that. She reigned over an empire that basically just robbed Africa of all of its diamonds and gold and wiped Canada and Australia clean of their already existing populations. And they'll also talk about her doing the Bellamy salute back when she was a little girl, well before World War II, back when it did not necessarily, by the way, even had any Nazi or fascistic connotations. I mean, I have been hearing some things, I don't know if this is true or not, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I have been hearing some talk, some speculation, that they're going to change, the wording around certain things. For instance, the Defender of the Faith is going to be changed to Defender of Faith. That's what I've heard. And, they're going to start politically correcting things, and sooner rather than later, they probably are going to talk about getting rid of the monarchy altogether pretty soon, possibly within our lifetimes potentially. Now, we didn't see that for a while because Queen Elizabeth was so, non-divisive, apolitical, and who had nothing but praise for a while. But chances are, I think you're going to start seeing more and more people talk about dissolving the monarchy in Britain entirely. It really just depends on how Charles, the current king, leads. Now, for other countries, the so-called Commonwealth realms, which were the old self-governing dominions of the British Empire, I think it's more understandable. I mean, you're technically speaking your own country now. What's the point of having the crown as your ruler if you are, your own sovereign entity? Looking at you, Canada and Australia. So Charles takes over. He is now King Charles III, King of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And as far as what I've heard, I think that it seems like he is going to be a little bit more liberal than Queen Elizabeth was. He's kind of up there with like the WEF types of people, the Klaus Schwabs of the world, things like that. He's also quite old. I think he's like 74. His son, Prince William, is the next in line of succession to become king. And again, Queen Elizabeth really wasn't that political. She was not really like the biggest fan of Margaret Thatcher. I don't think she really even liked her at all. But she also may have supported Brexit given to what some people have said. That's a wise decision. And only a couple days before her passing, she was meeting with the incoming Prime Minister, Liz Truss, and had a nice little relationship with her. Nice little friendly one-on-one chit-chat, things like that. Don't really know much about Truss, although just like with the king, I did hear things about her being a bit more liberal than her predecessor was in some ways, even though she is attempting to unban fracking from what I've heard, which is good. We'd like to see that. So it's definitely a sad day for the British people. The death of Queen Elizabeth II truly marks the end of an era. Arguably, Queen Elizabeth's death also marks the true end of the British Empire. The final nail of the coffin for the once most powerful empire that has ever existed in humanity. Again, I'm saying this aside because I oppose monarchy as an American in general, but in terms as to what is going to happen next after Queen Elizabeth's death, and the fact that they also have a new prime minister too, I'm not so quite sure what's going to happen next. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens across the pond. I'm not that big of a super expert when it comes to British politics. I don't know much about how things work in the UK. I focus on mostly American politics, mainly, and sometimes even Canadian politics. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button down below, and if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the little notification bell. Be sure to follow me on all my social medias, links are in the description below. There are also several other links in the description down below to other video hosting sites that I use. Be sure to check those out and follow me there as well. And don't forget to join the Discord server. I also have that in the link in the description below. I'll also put the link to the Discord server in a pinned comment down below. So if you want to join the Discord server, chit chat, give me some video ideas, send me some news topics, hang out, play video games, things like that, be sure to join my Discord server down in the description below, as well as even in a pinned comment that I will leave down below as well. Anyway, like, subscribe, ring notifications, and until then, take care, talk soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.